Hey guys, Sundown Rider here. This is going to be my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai 228, The Goddess and the Holy Maiden. Now, I thought this chapter was actually alright. Pretty decent. It was a pretty decent chapter. There was a part of it I didn't really like, the whole Helbram dying again thing. If you haven't read it, I suggest you read it. That's not really a major spoiler. I mean, it's Helbram. I don't think anybody at this moment in time really has that much of a connection with Helbram that his dying again will really make much of a difference. I mean, the weight of Helbram's dying is like a death in fairy tale. He's almost become that kind of that character who's just been dying left, right, and center and keeps coming back. So it's kind of it's a fairy tale thing all over again. It's like once character's died and he's come back a few times, their death will mean less and less each time. Unless obviously it's Meliodas or Elizabeth and things like that. Because if Meliodas gets killed, he's a powerful enough character where it's like shit. How do you kill the guy who killed him? But with Helbram, every time he dies, it's like, come on, he's starting to become that charity character, you know? So let's go through the chapter and see exactly what happened. So first, we get the souls of the people of Corrand, once again, have possessed Diane. So she's there kicking ass. She raises her magic power and basically her physical prowess and everything like that using Dolor's dance. And then we get Harlequin, who's kind of possessed King's helmet. He's like, yo, bruh, I gotta be honest here. I apologize. This is all my fault. So when he said that, I was like, I don't get where this is going. And same with King. He was like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? So then Merlin's like, Diane's kicking ass right now. She's raised her power level significantly high. We need to attack her as if we wanted to more or less kill her. And then Ban kind of just says what I was thinking at that point in time. Ban's like, he's really concerned. He's just like, wait, how are we supposed to attack it as if we more or less want to kill it, you know? That's a hard that's a hard point to reach, you know. It's a really, really fine line. You're gonna cross it if you get to that line, you know. They can't attack their own friend like that and then try and basically then just make sure they stop right before they're killing it. It's gonna be a hard task. So King then points out, he stops him, he's like, yo guys, you know what, defeating Diane, or just kicking the shit out of Diane, won't stop the vengeful grudges from possessing her. We have to somehow get rid of the people or get rid of the grudges who are possessing her. So we need to get rid of those. Even hurting Diane to like a really like if we break all her limbs or something, she might still be able to move with those grudges possessing her. So then Gowther makes a note that Diane's power level has reached 48,000, which is significantly high compared to like the last time we saw her. I don't know how much she reached, what power level she reached before she was able to do Dolor's dance, but it wasn't this high. So then King's there, he's concerned and everything, he's talking to Diane, but this manga does the best thing with talk no jutsu or just friendship speeches and shit like that, because they hardly ever work. They don't, like when someone's been possessed or something like that, it never works. Like, oh, but I'm your friend, your heart's stronger than this. If it was fairy tale, you know exactly which way that'd be going. But King tries to do it to Diane. He's like, I know your heart's stronger than this, blah blah blah, and then he gets kicked for a PAT and he's just like, oh, he just gets wrecked. His helmet is basically what saves his ass. It takes most of the impact. So Gowther, this was something else I really liked about this chapter. Gowther, we get to see more of development with him, where we see his emotions coming in now because of his recent power up and his acceptance of everything and his lack of deleting his own memories and things like that. Gowther shows the most concern for the fallen king, and he's there shaking him and he's like, you're right, you okay? And he's just making sure that his skull hasn't friggin' exploded, and he realizes that the helmet which Helbram possesses, and no one actually really knows that Helbram is there. The only one that seems to be able to hear him is King. And then Gowther's like, so you're cool. The helmet seems to have taken the brunt of the damage. So then Escanor pops up randomly right next to Diane. We know he's really fast, and he just seems to have chilled and like walked it there while she was being the shit out of the King. And he pops Diane in the gut. He just goes, whoop, and she's sent flying. Well, she's sent flying back a few feet anyway. And he said, I avoided hitting your face. I avoided hitting your face because you're a girl. And I was like, yo, this guy, he's got so much pride. You know, Escanor is like everybody's fan favorite. The guy just pops out with some golden one-liners, and he's just so good. So then Diane, I was actually surprised. She tanked the hit from Escanor really well. I mean, she has been possessed, so she's mostly being fueled by anger, hatred, fear, all of this. So she's probably immune to a lot of the pain that she's receiving, but she still takes it like a champ. So she returns like for like, and she lamps Escanor straight into the ground. And Escanor, he gets propped up against some rock, and he's just sat there with his arms crossed, and he's cracking his neck and stuff. And I was like, you can't get cooler than Escanor. So Escanor just looks, he just sat there in all his badassery, looking at her like, "Aye, we're gonna go fist to fist. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." But then Gowther pops up and he's like, "Now, you know what? Let me take care of this." So he uses a move I'm not sure if we've seen him use before. He uses a move called Invasion, which basically lets him enter Diane's psyche. So he goes in and he's searching for Diane. And when he finds Diane, he finds out that the reason she was so easily possessed was because she was troubled by her having sped up Elizabeth's death, basically. So she was kind of an advocate for Elizabeth regaining her memories. And then when when Elizabeth did gain her memories, we found out she only had 3 days left to live. And then that's Meliodas' source of pain all over again. So she's been troubled by that, and that's what really caused her easy possession. So then the possessors take Diane back into their possession. She never really left their possession. Gowther was kind of just trying to fiddle with what they were doing, but then he gets smashed by Gideon. Gowther, he gets smashed by Gideon, and he gets sent flying, and all his armor and everything's bust up. So I like that bit. I like the fact that Diane, I like the whole atmosphere here and the intricacy and everything that's the relationships between the sins, because they don't want to. They all know they could do something to damage Diane, but they don't really want to damage Diane because they know if they do, they're one sin down, basically. So they're trying to make sure that they're saving their friend without hurting their friend, even though their friends take knocking the shit out of them. And that's basically what's happening. They're trying their best to save Diane without hurting Diane, even though the best way is probably to hurt Diane. So then Metasula notices that Gowther's doll, i.e. the Gowther that we know, the 7 deadly sins Gowther, is part of the sins, and she's pissed off about that. She's like, okay, just another surprise for me. And I actually want to talk about Metasula being kind of the MVP of this mini arc, because she's done a really decent job, at least, of holding the sins down for a while. Whether she's buying time or whether she just wanted some sort of revenge, I don't know. But she's doing a really good job of holding them down, with the whole idea of capturing Meliodas, knowing that he'd be pissed off upon seeing Zilduris, and separating him from the rest of the sins. Capturing Meliodas and then using his negative energy to fuel all the vengeful spirits and stuff, and attacking the sins with that. So it wouldn't have been an easy fight with the sins. But then also possessing one of the sins with all the vengeful spirits that she'd resurrected in Corinth. And she picked a very good spot for her vengeful resurrection because of exactly what went on there. They were all massacred. And her commandment will only bring back people who have some sort of something to fulfill in terms of whether they were if they were murdered. So it'll bring back people who have grudges, things like that. It'll bring back people who are still angry at someone, people, like I said, people who were murdered, people who were wronged, all that type of stuff. So the fact that she went to Corinth and did it, and because that was lying in the way, she chose a really optimal position to really start her defense against the sins. And I'm not sure whether, like I said, I'm not sure whether she's just buying time. Maybe the other commandments are setting up something, or whether she was just there because once the sins are done here, she's basically dead. If she's actually there, she's dead. I get the feeling she might not. Now she has to be there because she's used her commandment. So I'm not too sure how she's gonna escape. But it's not really an optimal position for her now that the sins they seem to be on the rise after this chapter. So then Diane injures herself with Gideon because the possessors are they're just trying to be dicks. Ban couldn't snatch Gideon. He can usually stop weapons in motion and stuff when people are using them, using snatch, which is his power. But he couldn't do it. He was too weak. He gets pulled forward. If you see that panel, he gets pulled forward when Diane hits Gideon against her own forehead. So Ban, like I said before, Ban really needs a power up. I mean, even Snatch now is too weak for him to be able to keep up with Diane when she's possessed. So it's not just, like I said before, it's not just his physical prowess which needs to really increase. I mean, he needs his nunchucks, his staff, which breaks down into four little parts, and therefore his nunchucks. So he doesn't really need that. He doesn't just need that. I think it's called Korkashus or something like that. I forgot what it's called. His nunchucks. Yeah, it's something like Korkashus or something like that. So he doesn't just need his nunchucks, he needs some sort of magical boost as well, and I'm hoping he gets this from Elaine in the next chapter or in the next couple chapters. So we find out that the possessed Diane. Well, we then see. Actually, no. We find out that Helbram. He then makes an appearance, and it turns out that he was the one that murdered the people of Corinth. So when it was talked about that centuries ago, the people of Corinth were brutally murdered by someone, we don't know who, we don't know if it was a group of people. We find out that it was actually Helbram, and if you remember correctly, Helbram after killing Aldrich, which is the person that stabbed King in the back, or sliced King across the back. When King came to find Helbram and the rest of his fairy crew having their wings plucked and stuff like that, then King got sliced in the back by that guy with the eye patch, who Helbram then took on the appearance of when he was a holy knight. Sorry, what am I saying again? Helbram was the guy who took on Aldrich's appearance, and when he took on Aldrich's appearance, he took like 500 years out where he was just going around massacring humans. He was just going around killing humans. So he went on like a 500-year massacre. Whether it was actually in the appearance of Aldrich or not, I don't know, but I assume it was. So he just went on a 500-year massacre, and Corinth seemed to be one of his hotspots, where he just took on a whole city, and he was like, yeah, you're all dead here. So he was the one that took out Corinth. And he rises up. He's like, you know what? It's my fault. Take out your revenge on me. So this is the part I didn't really like so much, because I was like, Helbram dying again is kind of just like it's almost like a fan service kind of thing. It's almost like charity. It's just like Helbram's died like 2-3 times already now. So the fact that he's dying again doesn't really have much weight to it. And and I don't even mind that he's died 2-3 times prior to this. It's just that it didn't have much weight behind it. And I think even the guy that who writes this, I need to find out who draws this manga. So yeah, it is Nakaba. So Nakaba, yeah, I don't think he really wanted there to be too much weight behind Helbram dying again, because Helbram is just kind of like he seems to be a little bit above a minor character. He's like a middling character. He's above a minor character, but he's not quite a major character. So the fact that he died, he had like 3 pages this chapter dedicated to things with Helbram, so he wasn't given that much time or that much panel space. But Helbram died again, and this time he took away some of the vengeful spirits. But some spirits that faded away from Diane, the rest were not satisfied, and they carried on to really rampage. But then we see, I assume it was Elaine. She uses the Gold Wings Imperial Wrath, which pushes Diane off balance. We then get Elizabeth, who uses a move called Let There Be Light, which cleanses Diane of her possessors. So now Diane's free of all her possession and shit. And like I said, Helbram died again because Diane crumpled the Helbram helmet, which I suppose killed him. So like I said, this chapter for me really was just, I liked the Escanor part. I thought it was a decent chapter. And then seeing Elaine and Elizabeth really contributing to Diane's freedom. But what I would have actually preferred to have seen, I know they were quite a distance away, so Elaine and Elizabeth really didn't have too much time to get there, which is why they only had the 2 pages. But I would have liked to have seen Elaine and Elizabeth really take Diane on more than they did. It's like they only came in for the last 2 pages, pushed her off balance, and then cleansed her of possessors. I would have preferred to have seen more of a drawn out battle, but it is what it is. I liked the chapter. It was okay. The Helbram part was like, okay, this is all cool, but I like the fact that we got to see that Helbram was the one who actually murdered the people of Corinth. So the next chapter is called Love is the Strength of a Maiden, which I hope is where Ban gets his power up magically. He needs definitely power up magically, and then hopefully he'll find Kokushu somewhere, his nunchucks or his staff. He'll find that somewhere. So yeah, Ban definitely needs a power up. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is a long ass review, and I will see you guys in a bit when the new One Piece chapter comes out on Thursday. So I'll see you guys then.